Hi guys, this is part two. Rewind if you haven't seen the first part. It's just a quick overview. I feel like I'm really skimming over the story, but I want to do a few videos, and I thought actually if I do short bursts it's better than me rambling for hours on end. So the last part I was discussing my egg collection and the fact that we ended up with 23 eggs, and 16 of which embryos started growing. Our embryos were taken to the blastocyst stage, which is day 5, and we got the phone call to say that we actually had 8 embryos that were of a perfect grading that were ready to freeze. We had another 8 which they were going to carry on till day 6 blastocyst, and they would call us back on the Sunday, and unfortunately they never made it. We didn't get any from that batch, but it was great news for somebody that was told that we may get 3 or 4 eggs out of the follicles. To be told you've got 8 perfect graded embryos, it was, I was over the moon. I was absolutely over the moon. So I wanted to do these videos. I wanted to give you a bit of background to know what we've been through, understand our story, but also I thought it would be good for me to be able to look back on years to come and to reach out to you guys that maybe have even been through this and might be able to help Jake and I along the way and say, well, actually, you should expect this, or this happened to us, and it's a really good tool for us to be able to reach out to our friends and family, because I know a lot of people have been watching us along the way, and sometimes I think a few people that are very close to us were scared to ask certain questions because they don't want to offend us or upset me, because it's an emotional ride. It's been a really emotional ride. So I've been very fortunate. I've had a friend of a friend who has been my absolute rock through this. She's been going through IVF at the same sort of time scale as myself, and I couldn't have done it without her, really. If she is watching this, I just want to say a massive thank you for everything, and I love you to bits. And that bond that her and I have got through this process, you just can't write. You really can't. So we've been really fortunate. We've got great support network around us. We've got a huge circle of close friends and great family. And for Jake and I, we're quite relaxed couple. I probably am a bit more pushier than him. We're not very highly strung emotional people, but the IVF definitely brought a side out to me that was challenging at times. A funny story on the day of the egg collection was that I actually made Jake drive us down to a cab station to collect a cab to take us to the hospital, and it's ridiculous. When you look back, you think, why did you just not call the cab from home? Who knows? So he had to deal with a crazy woman, and he's been brilliant along the way. And I just want to be able to say thank you to the videos we've watched on YouTube, to the people who see us in our everyday life, to the friends that were thinking of us. They don't necessarily see us all the time, but would drop a call or a text to say thinking of you. It's really meant a lot to Jake and I along the way. It's a hard time for us. I've taken it quite hard recently. We're in a bit of a position. We're in our 30s. A lot of our friends have got married, similar to us, settling down, and I'm going to be brutally honest on this video because there's no point doing these, and it's been really hard because there's quite a few close friends of mine that are having babies and are pregnant at the moment or have just had children. And for the first time in my life, because I've got friends that have got children of around 5 or 6 years old, where I love the bones of those children. I'm in their everyday lives, and recently during the IVF cycle, I have found myself feeling very kicked in the stomach when you hear, you know, that other people are embarking on their journey. And it's so selfish as I'm saying it. It goes against the grain for me, but this is what the downside to IVF, I think, does. It causes you to overthink things. It causes you to sometimes feel very sorry, very down, but actually it also does a flip side and shows you a real strength that, for me personally, I never knew I had in myself. I mean, as I touched base, my egg collection was quite a traumatic experience, but I didn't deal with it in a traumatic way. I just sort of gritted my teeth and got on with it, because a mothering instinct must have kicked in me, and I thought, no, I just want to get on with this and do this for my husband, do this for myself, you know, and for hopefully a future child. And if anything, it's brought Jake and I really much closer. I mean, we're a close couple anyway. We've been together a long time, no hiccups along the way, but it's really solidified us, if anything. And we're now in a position where we're waiting to have our frozen embryos thawed and put back in me. And actually, I wouldn't change this process for the world. I really wouldn't. Jake and I spoke about this the other day, and you know, if we had the chance, and people can think that girl's off her head, but if we had the chance to conceive, you know, naturally, or put myself through, you know, through the draining physical side of IVF, I would still choose IVF every time. And Jake said the same, because, you know, when you're seeing during your egg collection, this scan on a blown up screen with your, you know, your eggs flying about on the screen, and then suddenly the embryologist screen switches over and you see the sperm swimming towards it. That is conception beginning there. And if this cycle works, which we've got everything crossed, I saw my children start from day dot, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. There's a lot of unanswered questions we have now. Is, you know, we've had our embryos frozen probably now for coming up 2 months. How long will we have to wait before we can have them put back in us? I know for myself, since the egg collection, I actually haven't had a period. So I believe there will be a short time on a contraceptive pill again to cause a bleed. And yeah, we're now at the point where we have our appointment next week, and we're thinking, oh, okay, we're back on track again. What are we doing? Where are we going? Where's this going? So I just wanted to also use this video to sort of give people a bit of an insight into some stuff that, you know, some questions that you might not understand. Obviously, as I touched base on my earlier video, that the injections were never as bad as I made them out to be initially in my mind. And the trigger injection was probably the most painful out of the three. But then that's your final one. That's your final injection on that cycle. And by then, you're so used to taking the other injections that you probably didn't have time to think about it being the worst one. It's probably on reflection, I'm thinking, oh, that probably was a little bit of a stinging sensation in my stomach that night. We were fortunate that we were treated in King's, and they have an amazing support group of staff there. The nurses are amazing. There's one in particular who's been quite close to my case, and I would like to think that perhaps one day she will watch this, and if she does, I can't thank you from the bottom of the heart for your honesty along the way, as from like when we, you know, could possibly lost our cycle. That's the hardest news to tell a couple that's invested all that time and emotion into it, and to put all your cards on the table. I had utmost respect for you, and I knew from that moment I could trust you with anything. And she was great on egg collection day, and you know, I can't actually wait to see her at the hospital and, you know, thank her for, because she has made a difference along the way. Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, where do I begin? You know, what questions was I asking in the beginning? The process, I would say, didn't take as long as we imagined. It could be different for different areas, but I mean, we live in Beckenham, which is on the London-Kent area, like border. Our waiting times wasn't so bad. For us on the NHS, we were entitled to 2 cycles. I do know that's a postcode lottery, unfortunately. So it could be worth looking up whereabouts you live, what your hospitals, you know, can fund you for. I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. I really feel like I'm being put on the spot. Multivitamins is definitely the way forward. That's one of the first questions I got asked when I went into the IVF clinic. So if you are thinking of joining the IVF cycles, I would say start taking your pre-pregnancy multivitamins. I just take a normal Tesco's one. I also have been instructed to take metformins, which are to help control my cysts on my ovaries. And I've been taking 2 lots of 500 milligrams a day. For me, any side effects on the injections? I was very tired. I'm a girl who doesn't sleep very well, so I generally would go to bed on a normal day, midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. Whilst I was on the injections, I was definitely asleep by 9:30, 10 o'clock at the very latest. I was very sore and bloated from the injections. My stomach did swell out. I did look very heavily pregnant towards the end of egg collection. I actually felt very sick on the contraceptive pill, but that's something for me. I've never been very good on the pill. And I was sick a couple of times at the beginning, but I mean, I haven't been on a contraceptive pill for 7 years, so it might have just been the type of pill didn't react well with me, and I am a little bit nervous about having to take another contraceptive pill, but you got to do what you got to do, haven't you? Support groups we've been using, as I said, YouTube. I've been looking up IVF apps on my phone. I've been very fortunate. There's been a few friends of friends that have been through IVF before, who were able to have quick sort of half-hour chats with me and let me know what went on in their cycle, answer a few questions. So we have been really fortunate to have huge support, and I know some people are not as fortunate. So I would like to say, please subscribe to my videos and, you know, reach out to me, communicate with me, and let me know how your journeys are. And I'd like to be able to give a little bit back of what I've received from a lot of people around there that have helped us along the way. So I'm going to shut this video off now, and we're going to go to the third and final part. And I'll speak to you guys in a bit. Take care. Bye.